Welcome back to Create Craft Costume, where we think crafting or creating is as close to magic as we're going to get. And today, you don't need a ticket to the parks to celebrate Butterbeer season because we're going to be creating our Harry Potter Butterbeer Thumbprint cookies right in our own kitchen in our second recipe tutorial. We're going to be using some unexpected ingredients and, of course, the star of the show. Let's get cooking. I will be taking you through all of the ingredients and the steps, but if you would like a printed version of this recipe, make sure to check our link in the description box down below. First, we will need half a cup of butter, softened. Next, 2¼ cups all-purpose flour. Then half a cup granulated sugar and half a cup brown sugar. 2 eggs, 1½ cups butterscotch chips. Half a teaspoon of baking powder and half a teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 cup of peanut butter, creamy, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, and finally, our butterbeer kisses. Now let's take a second to talk about the butterscotch chips specifically since they are such an integral part of this recipe. We actually made this recipe 3 times with 3 different brands, and all of them not only had a different melting point, but they all looked different and had a different texture. The first brand we tried was the high-end Guittard, which was actually the hardest to find, but you can see it's the richest color on the left here, and it melted really evenly, and it does provide a rich texture, but this didn't end up being our favorite. The next brand we tried was the Great Value brand from Walmart, and I'm not gonna lie, I was trying to save money, but part of being a good cook is knowing when it's good to save and when it's not, and this is one of those where it's not. The short, squat one in the middle had a noticeable different texture and a different aftertaste. For only about $1.50 more, you get our surprising winner, which was the Nestle Butterscotch chips. Seriously, there's a reason this is empty. It has such a sweet vanilla flavor, and even though it melts differently, as you will see, this was our clear winner, and I'll never go back. One last tip in regards to the chips is I would recommend not melting different brands in the microwave. You can see in the shot that I had to mix 2 brands because I didn't have enough of each to make the recipe, and I ended up wasting the chips anyway because they melted at different temperature points. So one was more creamy than the other, and I put it back in the microwave for 30 seconds and ended up making a thick, globby, unusable mess. So just make sure you're using the same brand and make it easy on yourself. This next ingredient is optional if you just want the plain cookie, but I like a little extra, so we're going to be rolling our dough in some house colored sanding sugar. These are really easy to find at grocery stores or online. There's a rule in baking that you should have your eggs and your butter at room temperature. Once those are ready, be sure to preheat your oven to 375 degrees before moving on to the butterscotch chips. Another unexpected bonus tip for today, if you are using cups that are more for aesthetics than function, make sure you know where the line for the measurement is because in all of my previous shots, I had too much butterscotch chips in them. Anyway, now that we are moving on to the melting portion, you have 2 options. You can use the double boiler method, which uses the stove, or you can use the microwave, which is slightly more convenient. However, the bowl does get hot. So we are going to place our container inside a bowl cozy. If you are interested in making your own so that you can protect your fingers, don't forget to check out our tutorial in the iCard or linked down below. Now, the thing with microwaving is you want to make sure that the heat gets distributed evenly so you don't overcook the butterscotch. In order to do this, you're going to do your first round for 1 minute. Then you're going to take it out and stir it. Stirring helps make sure that the heat is distributed evenly. So this is after the first minute. We definitely have some melting, but it's not quite there yet. Once you go for a minute, then you're going to place them back in for 30 seconds, and you want to check every time. But stirring is actually the most important part because as you can see here, this started out really whole. This is after 1 minute and 30. I thought for sure I was going to have to put these back in, but the more I stirred, the more they melted. Don't let the stiffness of the chips deter you either because this brand was definitely the stickiest. So I didn't think it was ready, but the more I stirred and just kept stirring, the creamier and creamier it got. So I actually only had to have this in for 1 minute and 30 seconds before it was ready. Now look at that drip. You can tell it's ready because it is falling off of the spatula instead of looking more like peanut butter. And you may have a couple of little bumps in here, but it's not stiff and the top isn't cracking and it looks pretty and usable and definitely good enough to eat. Once the butterscotch is ready, the next step is to actually set it aside and let it cool while you prepare the rest of the ingredients. Now we're going to head over to the mixer and start incorporating our wet ingredients. The first thing we need to do is add the peanut butter and the butter and start combining them together for at least 30 seconds. Now, I've never seen peanut butter added to a butter beer cookie recipe, but it brings such a richness to the butterscotch that I highly recommend trying it. Also, remember there are peanut butter alternatives for anybody who may have an allergy. These should be worked together for at least 30 seconds, but depending on the type of mixer you're using, will determine how well it scrapes the bottom. Make sure that you are scraping down the sides and hand mixing yourself to get them incorporated before adding your nicely melted butterscotch chips to the mix. Don't forget to scrape the bowl for every last bit of flavor. And then you are going to incorporate the butterscotch the same way, about 30 seconds before adding your 2 eggs and vanilla to incorporate that for 30 seconds as well. Now we're done with the wet ingredients. Before we add the dry ingredients, we want to make sure that they are evenly distributed throughout the mixture. In order to do this, we're going to take the baking soda and baking powder and combine it with the flour. You can do this with a sifter, but you can also just use a regular whisk. Another rule of baking that you won't always see written down or discussed is that it helps to add your dry ingredients in sections instead of all at once. This allows it to become more evenly incorporated and has a better chance of your final product tasting better. So here you're going to see me add the sugar in 2 parts and the flour in 3 parts. This is because it gives me a chance to scrape down the sides. I can lift things up from the bottom. I can also see how the dough is changing and if I need to adjust any of the measurements. Now, this isn't an exact science. It's not like I measured everything out evenly using a measuring cup. I just eyeballed it, but I really feel like it helps make the finished product that much better. Now, if you use the dough just as it is right now, you'll see that it has 2 different textures. The top is really crumbly, but as you get towards the bottom, it's a lot more wet. So the last thing I recommend is really incorporating the dough so that it has the same texture throughout. When you're done, you should be able to pull little bits off and it should be able to easily roll and ball in your hand. Before we get them in the oven, it's time to add the sanding sugar. So now it's time to break out our house colors. Red for Gryffindor, yellow for Hufflepuff, green for Slytherin, and blue for Ravenclaw. Don't forget to prep your pan as well, and this doesn't need to have anything sprayed to it because there's already so much oil in the batter that it's not going to stick. Here you see that we've just added a parchment paper to it. To prepare rolling the dough in the sanding sugar, I would make sure that you still use a scoop and roll it in your hand because then you get an even amount of dough in every single scoop. That will help the baking time. Next, it's just rolling it into the sugar. Now, you should feel some moisture from the dough, which is what should make it stick to the granules. However, sometimes I had to force it together in my hand more than others. These sugar granules are also thicker, so I found myself having to kind of press the dough into them to make them stick. In the future, I would actually like to experiment with smaller sugar granules and see how that affects the
Time
recipe.
for Hufflepuff.
But basically, don't be afraid to kind of force the dough to do what you want before putting it on the baking
Now
sheet.
time for Ravenclaw.
Another tip is you can be pretty generous with the sugar that you put in the bowls because this dough doesn't really leave residue. So we put this sugar right back into the containers after we were done with it. Don't these look so cool?
Fun fact, the dough is just as delicious.
Now, in regards to baking time, that is going to depend on a couple of factors. For example, if you just bake the dough without coating it in sugar, we only needed to bake it for about 10 minutes. The sugar, however, affects the baking time and added about a minute and a half to 2. We also live in a high altitude area, so that also affects our cooking time. The key here is just to watch it. It is always better to take it out early and let it cook on the pan rather than have it overcook in the oven and just have super hard cookies if that's not what you're looking for. Now that our foundation is ready, it is time for the star of the show, the very inspiration for this recipe, our butterbeer kisses. And I've heard these were pretty hard to find in stores, so I really hope they bring them back next year. However, the way the kiss will sit on the top of the cookie also depends on what type of cookie you made. Here you can see that the plain dough ones really sit on in, but the sugar ones added kind of an extra coating that you really have to push it through. But the other surprising factor was actually the melting point. This is not like a regular Hershey's Kiss because this is white chocolate. So we put the Hershey's Kiss on just a little bit after taking it out of the oven, and the first couple actually completely lost their shape and melted into the cookie. And while that is still absolutely delicious, if you want that true Hershey Kiss shape, also reminiscent of the witch hat, you're going to need to wait longer than you would on a traditional thumbprint cookie.
Okay, that's a butterscotch cookie. That's so good. That's so good.
But once these have cooled, you are now ready to serve Harry Potter Butterbeer Thumbprint cookies, even in house colors, should your guests prefer. That is all for today's recipe. Please let me know which one you would prefer to try in the comments down below. And don't forget, you can get your own printed version of the recipe by checking the link in our description. Now, if you are into more magical recipes, check out our homemade marshmallow video next. And don't forget to subscribe to become a magical maker. See you in our next video.